Good morning. Please allow me to share the document from Dr. Lois. I don't know whether you're seeing it. Are you seeing it? Can someone confirm to me whether they are seeing it?
Yes, we are seeing it. Why is this initiative?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to read. Welcome to the NEMRA Alumni Initiative. We're going to talk about why this initiative is important. We're going to give a brief background of NEMRA. Then we are going to look at the governance structure, the operations, and the possibilities. So just to remind ourselves, because I know that most of us have been in NEMRA for a while. Just to remind ourselves, what is NEMRA? NEMRA is an independent group of early career and senior academic researchers, practitioners, as well as postgraduate research students from across several universities and research-oriented institutions or organizations in Africa. The group operates as a non-profit network with an intention of providing a platform for networking among researchers and practitioners. And we can attest to this because most of us, either we are coming from different institutions, we are teachers, but we are also, maybe we've also been PhD students, we are early career researchers, but from different institutions. We have people from Nigeria, we have people from, I think we had one from Rwanda, and others from Europe. So that's how diverse NEMRA is. Why do we exist? Of course, we are there to provide a platform for inter-university networking and collaboration in interdisciplinary research, capacity, development among members. And for this, we've seen it. We've seen us having monthly workshops. And in these monthly workshops, we have been able to learn a lot. There's so many of us who didn't know how to differentiate between a theoretical framework and a conceptual framework. But because of these networks, or because of this network that brings on board people who are diversely experienced, we learned from that. So basically, it's a platform that provides us with that platform to network, but also to do collaboration and of course facilitate quality research for the societal well-being in Africa. So NEMRA looks at developing the capacity for quality postgraduate education, especially for research capacity, productivity, and impact in an environment through the inter-university collaboration and partnership. So as NEMRA, we have a vision, and our vision is a network of academic researchers advancing a culture of intellectually generated evidence-based policy and practice in Uganda and beyond. And what's our mission? To demystify the issues around doing academic research and develop insights across a wide array of research topics or areas that one is looking at. And of course, we can attest to this. Some people are scared of undertaking a PhD because it's rigorous, it involves a lot of work. You need time, you learn so many qualities that probably as an individual, you wouldn't have been able to learn. And our values that I personally believe as individuals we need to incorporate in our work life includes professionalism. You have to be professional at all times. You're a teacher, You're not there to be the devil's advocate, to, you know, scare people for not doing your research the way you want it. You have to join us. Then integrity. You shouldn't steal other people's ideas without asking them or without consulting them to take on their work. As researchers, that is something that we should hold very dear to us. Then innovativeness and creativity. Dr. Aguma can attest to this. We have to be very innovative, whether you're a scientist, whether you're an artist. The world requires that. If you're not innovative and creative, then that means you're going to go out of circulation. Then collegiality as well, we need it very much if we are going to be that platform, or even people who will provide health or quality research to our motherland, but also Africa. Then inclusiveness, we shouldn't discriminate against others, whether it's someone from, you know, a different field, or from maybe not from the academia, but someone who has something to say. We should always listen and allow them to be included. Then generosity. We should be very generous with our knowledge. If one of us approaches you, please be generous, help them, because we basically have to pay it forward. Because even us who are helped, for instance, one of my mentors was Dr. Norman, and I feel like I should also give back to someone. So what are some of our objectives? We basically have 5, and these include to provide a platform for an inter-university research related collaboration, networking and mutual support among academic researchers, postgraduate students and practitioners. Then to offer complementary services to institutions and schools of postgraduate studies in the area of research capacity building, thereby increasing completion rates of postgraduate students. Then also but as well enhance the research culture among academics and build an intellectual group of scholars. It's very unfortunate that in Africa, and especially in Uganda, for some reason, students take a long period. Yes, when we're doing several workshops, and we heard from the people who do it, some of them said it was because of students' mentality. Students also take time. But as a researcher, I remember we're having the NEMRA end of year, and Akuma shared how their university does it. They sit down students, they give them mentors, people who move with them throughout their journey. The ones they are supposed to come to and pray to, you know, I have this challenge. And the mentor or counselor helps them move from one level to another. But in Africa, we don't do that. I completed for Makerere, but in Makerere, if it wasn't because my supervisors were just good, probably I wouldn't have completed on time. But what about those ones who don't have good supervisors? What happens to them? So as people who are in NEMRA, we want to be different supervisors to our juniors, but also to students, mentoring. Then the other objectives is produce relevant, high quality academic research outputs for policy and decision-making at every level of society in the continent. This is something that we are doing well, and hopefully most of us are going to be very good at this. Then to build a research data and information structure to manage and support the dissemination and enhanced availability of academic research outputs to users. So what inspired the foundation of this network? One, the contemporary society we are in, of course, faces complex problems. Therefore, the contribution of academic research to solutions to these issues could be stepped up. That's why the founders were inspired to start this. Then secondly, that they noticed that there were fragmented efforts to teach, carry out, manage and utilize academic research that yielded very little returns on investment made. It's very true. You probably, most or some of our works will idle in the university, sleeping in the university, in the bookshelf. But now that they have repositories, probably things will change. Then postgraduate schools are looking for ways to boost completion rates of their students. People are stuck with very big numbers of students. People enroll, but people don't finish. I remember Safina will attest to this. I think we started 14 students in gender, but I don't think even 8 finished. People sort of fell off the wagon. Why? Because of research. Research it's not a very easy game. You have to play the game, finish. But for some people who don't have the stamina, it becomes different. Then, of course, there was also the universities in Africa are heavily inclined to teaching. That although teaching is important, research is core, and NEMRA was formed for peer inspiration and support among academics across universities to be more involved in research. I think we've seen some of our colleagues winning grants after being part of NEMRA. Then the quality of postgraduate research programming, coordination, training, management, and output could be improved. I think we all believe this. It could be better than what it is now. So we have various programs that include, of course, the monthly research capacity building seminars and workshops. There is also peer-to-peer learning program. There were action learning sets. I don't know. In my action learning set, I think we have only 2 people who are remaining to complete, and they are at the tail end of their programs. So we need these action learning sets because they are free areas where people can share their ideas, but they need people who have been there and done it to help them go through. So what are some of the achievements? From 2018 to 2019, that's when we did formalization, we did bank opening, but there were also unstructured operations. There were people who were really running this at that time. Then in 1920, there was growth. We had 2 country chapters that were opened. There was a very huge active online presence. Of course, this was during COVID time. Then there was funding that was secured. NEMRA won some. A ladies group was initiated and it's still running. There were accountability groups formed. Mentorship program was started. Some people completed with their mentors. Others probably never started. Then the secretariat got a home at Uganda Royal University. Then MOUs signed, individual and institutional membership, partnership relationships were developed, and seminars were also very regular. In 2020 to 2023, these were basically the governance years. There was a board of directors elections. Vision, mission, and strategy was well defined. We had to get governance structures drawn. An executive was appointed. A board of directors and executive guidelines were filed. There was more funding that was secured. There was increased membership. I think right now membership is around 200 plus. I don't know about the unpaid membership, but that's what I know, that those are the numbers we have on our group. And another actually board of directors elections were held, and various activities by the executive were done. So why the NEMRA alumni group? 1, to reconnect. It's true, after, I don't know how some of you feel. But for me, after doing the PhD, I asked myself, now what? Because I really wanted this PhD. But I sat myself down and said, okay, I'm done with the PhD. So what? That's what I asked myself. So what? What next? Hmm? So I think reconnecting is something that we all need. We need to come together. For instance, I've now known Dr. Jacqueline works in UCU. I know my sister here also works in Bulu. So we need to come back again and find ourselves, because the world out there is huge. The opportunities are there, but you cannot do it alone. You need to have that support of your colleagues, people you've known. For some reason, I feel closer to the PhDs in NEMRA than PhDs out there, because I don't know their journey. I don't know them as much, but in NEMRA, you become vulnerable. Then secondly, the joint pursuit of opportunities for growth, which is very important. I can assure you, I've written grants, I've gotten fellowship, all of them from NEMRA people. Because someone calls and says, "Oh, by the way, there is this. What do you think? Can you take it on? Do you think you can capture the audience and move with it?" So we need these joint opportunities for growth. Then we need to support and serve others together. We still have our colleagues who are still in the journey, and they need that support. So can we be able to give back to them? You don't need to take on a huge workload. You can take on a few people or one, but you help them more. You help them do what? More. So Dr. Lois shared with us the oak tree, and I'm just going to read that oak trees are magnificent. They have fed, housed, and protected humans for thousands of years. They provide nutritious food, useful medicine, and beauty. And therefore, you too can unleash the potential in you and allow it to grow into a huge influence of a tree. Because when you look at a tree, this tree can provide you with shade, meaning that as a PhD, you can be an anchor to people. You can be an anchor to society in Africa, but in our country, well. So just as a reminder, the governance at NEMRA, we have a board of trustees, the board of directors, then we also have technical advisors. Then the people who run the day-to-day work, there is the MD who works closely with the finance admin. Then there is a secretariat for research training and mentorship. Then there is research projects and publication and mobilization advocacy. Then we have the wider group, which is the research community of stakeholders, who include the postgraduate students, academics, practitioners, the government, and the whole society large. So the operations, as I conclude this, the strategic action is basically to offer complementary services to institutions and schools of postgraduate studies in the area of research capacity building, thereby increasing completion rates of postgrad students, enhance the research culture among academics, and build an intellectual group of scholars in the continent. And the department that does this is training and mentorship. There are possibilities in this college. There is the possibility of being a mentor. There is a possibility of mobilizing mentors. We have colleagues who work within different institutions who have been at it for a while, but are willing to give back. You can mobilize them. There's a possibility of facilitating a seminar. There is a possibility of highlighting capacity needs. Then there is the initiative of inter-university periodic seminars, we work in different institutions. I work in UMI, Tambogo. Dr. Jackie works in UCO, Gulu. There is Gulu, and there is an upcoming here. But so we can have initiatives of having these seminars countrywide. People move these places. Yes, it could be a seminar or a conference, but it can also be a tour just to rest your mind as you're doing work. Then, of course, the other action is produce relevant, high quality academic research outputs for policy and decision making at every level of society on the continent, and disseminate and enhance availability of this research product to users. And this is research projects and publications. We can run research teams, have joint proposal writing. I think a few of us have done that, but we need to get into this because I was told by a senior academic that right now the money is in research. Then we can follow up on the research products from NEMRA projects that have been done. For instance, I think there is one currently that Mohammed and Shambade are doing. Then to provide a platform for an inter-university research related collaboration and networking among academic researchers, postgrad students, practitioners, and to mobilize institutional and individual membership. This is done by mobilization and advocacy. We can publicize NEMRA. NEMRA is not a club for smokers or what. It's a club for a common good. We want to find new ways of preventing probably HIV or even stopping it by 2030. So why don't we bring more people in NEMRA so that they are able to learn these skills, but also to share with us and we become better researchers. Then host individuals and teams. Someone can decide and host them at their institution. Organize social events. We can organize social events. I don't think we've had any. Probably we can start an alumni run this year. It can be one of the social events we do so that people can get to know what NEMRA is and what we do. Then we can engage our institutions to open their doors for NEMRA to come and teach their postgraduate students good research methods. So what do we do now? As you're thinking about what has been said, Dr. Lois is saying, what do you do now? One, you can consider what resonates with you as an individual. You can identify the corresponding department and coordinator that you want to be involved in. You can discuss ways in which you need each other. Then you can form an alumni committee that we're going to do at the end of this and consider a few operational guidelines to start with. So that is something from Dr. Lois. We can ponder what she has given us. We shall share some of most of these slides with you on the group so that we continue on this. I'll request that we take a minute and after a minute we come back, proceed to the next presentation. Thank you. Okay, colleagues, I think we are back. Let me share the next presentation from Dr. Lois.
kuzara yanditumye omulala nakugira tosiye
Until anything. Maybe it's a thing to share. Maybe it's a thing to share. Mhm. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, somebody saying, I spoke. Like do what? Mm. 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 when I click share. When I click share, there is sound. Okay. Then I share.
And the mentorship of early career researchers, all this programming, the coordination, the training, even the management of research itself. Like Makerere has a research and innovation fund with lots of money from the government of Uganda, but you can look at how that is managed and see a lot of issues that could be handled. And we thought need to come together and address these issues together, not just as one institution, but as institutions. So these are some of the issues. It's not the entire list, and I'm sure you have other issues as well. I know there's been some improvements and moving forward, but and I can't now tell the evaluation, for example, what impact NEMRA has had on these 5 issues areas, but probably we've moved and things have changed to some extent, and there could be even new challenges. But I'm sure that some of these issues, to some extent, some of them still persist. So this is why we decided to bring everybody together to work together with the available resources, the minimal resources that could be available, that could be found, and see whether we can together develop solutions and change something. So since from 2018, when we got into this discussion and tried to forge a way forward on what our contribution could be, because there are problems around the world, and in your generation, you just need to be able to solve something, and then the next generation will have somewhere to start from. It's just that we should not leave the stage and leave it when we have not made any mark and made any change. We can't continue to be people who are groaning and complaining. Like Professor Baze usually says, we need to be a contribution. So this is how NEMRA started, and between 2018 and 2019, that was the year of starting. It included a lot of mobilizing people and making a formal registration for the network. We opened up a bank account. We were working in very unstructured ways. We had people just coming in as volunteers and doing what they can and making whatever decision they would make. But even this kind of approach, because people are really, really committed to try and do something to bring people together. In 2019, somehow the organization took off because these ideas were birthed in September 2018. But by the end of 2019, just before COVID, within 1 year, we had 2 country chapters. So we had a NEMRA Kampala chapter and a NEMRA Mbarara chapter, with the various institutions in Kampala and those in Mbarara actively involved in bringing people together and trying to address the issues that I have said on the previous slides. And then in 2020, we started active online presence. We started out a Twitter account and a WhatsApp group, and very active WhatsApp group. During that time, we also were able to secure funding. So my belief is that when you have an idea that actually scratches on the need of society, you will always be able to find the resources to do it. So we wrote a proposal for the Makerere Research and Innovation Fund that was covering, bringing together early career researchers in an inter-university platform to support each other on grant writing, on open access and data science and open access, and also on writing and developing writing communities. And this was something that everyone cannot deny that it is really necessary, and it was in line with what NEMRA is about and the things that we really want to handle. And we were able to get funding to do this and run this project. And we also formed a ladies group to sort of like to encourage female academics to learn from models like female academics who have achieved, so that they can be able to listen to them and find some time to talk together as academic researchers. So we formed a NEMRA ladies group. We also run accountability groups. We put people in inter-university groups, and that is really important because networking is key for NEMRA. Like we mentioned, working in silos really makes less output. So we decided that we'd have accountability groups, small groups of 5-6 people working together to support each other on their dreams as researchers. And these were inter-university kind of groups to encourage networking. We also started a mentorship program for PhD students, and some of you were on this program. It was something to do with inviting people, senior academics across the world, who would be happy to hold the hand of a PhD student or early career researcher and just be there to guide them, to advise them on various things. And then we would would ask PhD students and early career researchers who would like to have a senior person to walk along with them to put up their hand, and many people did. And we started this mentorship program. Then we also ran around. We first went to Makerere and then to UCU, to ask for a home, for a place, and finally we were able to be housed at Mutesa One Royal University. So NEMRA has a secretariat, which is really good. We had MOUs signed because we really wanted to have impact and get out of the ivory tower. So we were busy going out to corporations and government parastatals to do research with them, but also to find things that they would like to have evidence-based ideas, so that academics can actually work on research for those particular areas. For example, we went to the National Planning Authority. They are charged with national planning for development and implementation, and we really wanted to get familiar with what they really do. And the NPA was excited about this, and they wanted us to have, for example, one of the things in the MOU with the NPA is doing sabbaticals for PhD students to spend some time at the NPA, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, or wherever is possible, so that they can get familiar with the national planning process and how to implement the national development plans, so that can inform them as they do their research, which is really important. They also opened up for opportunities to get the research that is done by academics to be discussed by cabinet. Usually the cabinet does always desired to reconnect with you all. So first of all, congratulations upon completing your PhDs, and I know Alumni Regendo has also joined this club with faith that he will complete his PhD as well by the end of this year. So I'm so glad that you've come together. You are people whom I met in your PhD years when you were students around 2019, from somewhere 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and I think I interacted with some of you in 2022, and people like Franklin. I think Franklin was the first PhD student that I met and came to NEMRA in 2018, so she knows the trenches of this network. So it's been a pleasure and a very fulfilling happiness to see you complete your PhDs and moving forward in your careers. So I've been in a discussion with some of your mentors, and some of them are part of this group already, and we thought we should bring you together. So in this talk, I'm going to share why this initiative is important, but also it's an NEMRA alumni initiative. So I'll give the background of NEMRA, why we really started this network, and then the governance structure as well, and the operations of this network, and then also the possibilities for you to plug into NEMRA. So there's a brochure that has a lot of information about NEMRA. What is it, why it exists, the vision, the mission, the objectives. But for this talk, I would like to focus more on what inspired us to form NEMRA. So it was something that came up out of an observation of what was happening in Uganda and generally the research culture in Africa, the context, how things were happening, and it's something that was born out of my experience of doing a PhD in the UK, but also Doris doing her PhD in Norway. She did her postgraduate studies in Norway and the Netherlands. I did my postgraduate studies in the Netherlands and in the UK. So basically what we saw in Europe and some of the things that we thought are good for Africa to emulate in our research culture so that we can change the impact of research on the continent. So we had a few things that we observed. So, for example, Africa is plagued with various complex problems, just like any other part of the world. But in most parts of the world, the contribution of academic research to solutions is quite big. While in Africa, really, we have ad hoc approaches to solving problems. So our solutions are not really research-based. And we thought that this needs to change if there are people who have gone through research training, especially through doctor training, and there are people who are skilled and are actually doing research, then research needs to be one that informs shaping solutions for issues in Uganda, but also on the continent. We thought this could really be stepped up, so that we don't just keep in the universities in the ivory tower, but our ability to do research can make a difference in society. And then we also realized that there was a lot of fragmented efforts to teach research, to carry out research, to manage research, and also to utilize academic research products. So you find universities most probably work in silos and they don't talk to each other, and they do research. They also train people in research. They use research. They have research products, but these are there isn't a platform where these efforts can be networked for a synergetic impact and we thought that this should also change. And we are talking about our experiences in Europe, how people really come together to do doctor training, to mentor, to supervise, to do granting, to bid for funding, to utilize research products like the UK has. And NEMRA was started somehow to accelerate the process of increasing postgraduate completion rates at universities, so that when people, by the time somebody decides to invest in postgraduate research, they want to finish postgraduate program and move on with their lives, and they don't want to be at university for a long time. So there are quite very many issues that bring out this, and we thought as a network, as a platform of researchers, we could work together to look into these issues and boost postgraduate completion rates for students who are doing postgraduate research related programs. Then the other issue that we realize is that universities in Africa are heavily inclined to teaching. We know that teaching probably brings more money to universities through student recruitment and things like that. But we know that even though teaching is quite important, any university worth its name should also have research as core. So, and we knew that most faculty, they are involved a lot in teaching, and there a lot of issues are around ability to excel as a researcher in a university in Africa. So NEMRA was started to bring about peer inspiration and support among academics across universities to be more involved in research. So if you have a way that you're working around research and being somehow a better researcher, then you can come up, you can connect with other academics across the country and support each other, peer support and inspiration to improve your research profile as an academic, rather than being more into teaching forever. And then the other thing that we were really concerned about was the quality of postgraduate research programming, coordination, training, management, and output. And this includes, for example, if you go to Makerere, for example, you need to have like a doctoral training handbook, like the process for doctor training at Makerere, how it is done. I know there are like cross-cutting courses that people sign on, and then the supervision, the examination. I've been in vivas. I could see some of the issues to do with the research examination and the mentorship of early career researchers, all this programming, the coordination, the training, even the management of research itself. Like Makerere has a research and innovation fund with lots of money from the government of Uganda, but you can look at how that is managed and see a lot of issues that could be handled. And we thought need to come together and address these issues together, not just as one institution, but as institutions. So these are some of the issues. It's not the entire list, and I'm sure you have other issues as well. I know there's been some improvements and moving forward, but and I can't now tell the evaluation, for example, what impact NEMRA has had on these 5 issues areas, but probably we've moved and things have changed to some extent, and there could be even new challenges. But I'm sure that some of these issues, to some extent, some of them still persist. So this is why we decided to bring everybody together to work together with the available resources, the minimal resources that could be available, that could be found, and see whether we can together develop solutions and change something. So since from 2018, when we got into this discussion and tried to forge a way forward on what our contribution could be, because there are problems around the world, and in your generation, you just need to be able to solve something, and then the next generation will have somewhere to start from. It's just that we should not leave the stage and leave it when we have not made any mark and made any change. We can't continue to be people who are groaning and complaining. Like Professor Baza usually says, we need to be a contribution. So this is how NEMRA started, and between 2018 and 2019, that was the year of starting. It included a lot of mobilizing people and making a formal registration for the network. We opened up a bank account. We were working in very unstructured ways. We had people just coming in as volunteers and doing what they can and making whatever decision they would make. But even this kind of approach, because people are really, really committed to try and do something to bring people together. In 2019, somehow the organization took off because these ideas were birthed in September 2018. But by the end of 2019, just before COVID, within 1 year, we had 2 country chapters. So we had a NEMRA Kampala chapter and a NEMRA Mbarara chapter, with the various institutions in Kampala and those in Mbarara actively involved in bringing people together and trying to address the issues that I have said on the previous slides. And then in 2020, we started active online presence. We started out a Twitter account and a WhatsApp group, and very active WhatsApp group. During that time, we also were able to secure funding. So my belief is that when you have an idea that actually scratches on the need of society, you will always be able to find the resources to do it. So we wrote a proposal for the Makerere Research and Innovation Fund that was covering bringing together early career researchers in an inter-university platform to support each other on grant writing, on open access and data science and open access, and also on writing and developing writing communities. And this was something that everyone cannot deny that it is really necessary, and it was in line with what NEMRA is about and the things that we really want to handle. And we were able to get funding to do this and run this project. And we also formed a ladies group to sort of like to encourage female academics to learn from models like female academics who have achieved, so that they can be able to listen to them and find some time to talk together as academic researchers. So we formed a NEMRA ladies group. We also run accountability groups. We put people in inter-university groups, and that is really important because networking is key for NEMRA. Like we mentioned, working in silos really makes less output. So we decided that would have accountability groups, small groups of 5-6 people working together to support each other on their dreams as researchers. And these were inter-university kind of groups to encourage networking. We also started a mentorship program for PhD students, and some of you were on this program. It was something to do with inviting people, senior academics across the world, who would be happy to hold the hand of a PhD student or early career researcher and just be there to guide them, to advise them on various things, and then we would would ask PhD students and early career researchers who would like to have a senior person to walk along with them to put up their hand, and many people did, and we started this mentorship program. Then we also ran around. We first went to Makerere and then to UCU, to ask for a home, for a place, and finally we were able to be housed at Mutesa One Royal University. So NEMRA has a secretariat, which is really good. We had MOUs signed because we really wanted to have impact and get out of the ivory tower. So we were busy going out to corporations and government parastatals to do research with them, but also to find things that they would like to have evidence-based ideas, so that academics can actually work on research for those particular areas. For example, we went to the National Planning Authority. They are charged with national planning for development and implementation, and we really wanted to get familiar with what they really do, and the NPA was excited about this, and they wanted us to have, for example, one of the things in the MOU with the NPA is doing sabbaticals for PhD students to spend some time at the NPA, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, or wherever is possible, so that they can get familiar with the national planning process and how to implement the national development plans, so that can inform them as they do their research, which is really important. They also opened up for opportunities to get the research that is done by academics to be discussed by cabinet. Usually the cabinet does discuss ideas for economic development, and whenever these ideas are good, they ask the National Planning Authority to turn them into, they call them PEC papers, the presidential economic papers. Yeah. So the NPA was like, okay, if you bring your research products, we could be able to get them into cabinet discussion and then turn them into PEC papers. And then also they were very interested about documenting the research products in Uganda, like the kind of research that has been done, some sort of similar thing like Research Fish for the UK, an online one-stop center that has all the researchers in the country, all the research that has been done, the research products and the research funding that has come into the country, and then it's like a sort of a one-stop place for information of what's happening as far as research is concerned. And we signed an MOU with the NPA to do that kind of thing, sort of to get the academics out of the ivory tower and into what's really happening into government. And the other body that was very receptive was the National Council for Science and Technology, because there were issues around the National Council for Science and Technology not really understanding researchers, and vice versa, complaints around it. And we decided we should reach out to them and see their expectations, and then the researchers can also share their expectations. be able to see how we can do cordial relationship between research and research regulator. The current General Secretary for National Council on Science and Technology was very welcoming to this, and he is the board chair for NEMRA, which shows that he really cares about the idea of bringing researchers together. And we also developed other project ideas with the UNST. One of them actually took off. It was something that the GS was concerned about, which is research management and administration in Uganda, and was really interested in finding out how research management is done, the capacity for research management, and they committed actually resources for NEMRA and together with the UNST to do a needs analysis around this area. And there were other concepts that we were able to develop with them. Recently, I saw the projects coordinator, research projects and management coordinator put these ideas on WhatsApp group and asked people to sign up so that they can be followed up with the National Council for Science and Technology, which is a really good thing. The other place that we were reaching out to was the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, because Maseki Novisho is the Secretary General. She was interested in our arrangement, in our network, because she's concerned that most researchers are not very aware about issues to do with intellectual property rights. She came to talk to one of our seminars, but there was a discussion with the research team at URSB to continue to see how URSB can work with NEMRA to popularize IP matters and research as far as research is concerned. And that's an area as well that as academics and as researchers can really push forward and work with the URSB to get familiar with what happens at URSB, and there are experts there that can come and talk to researchers, and if you have issues, really to understand issues to do with intellectual property rights and copyrights, and which I think is probably still a need for people to properly understand, even academics and researchers in universities. So the other organization that was also almost opening up and we didn't follow up was the Uganda Investment Authority. At that time, the chairman, Rakakamba Morrison, was so interested in ensuring that the investment decisions that Uganda makes are well drenched into research and is research informed. He actually started a research department at UA, Uganda Investment Authority, UIA. And he had shown a lot of interest on how we can work with them, how we can inform the Uganda Investment Authority, and how they can inform the research academic researchers for issues to do with investment, and how the kind of, because those kinds of discussions or those kinds of talks is where you find ideas to do research about. Something that is relevant for these organizations. Maybe they can support financially, or they can support you with the expertise, or they can open doors for you, accessibility, because it's really key for research. Or if you have results or information and you want it bought in and moved forward to create impact, because when you do research, you can publish, you can get promotion within university, but when it has impact, then it's much better for you as a researcher. So these are the organizations that academic researchers need to be engaging and working with, and developing this culture of engaging these organizations. The other place that we really also knocked doors on and had discussions was the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, and they were also interested in research and working with NEMRA, and they just need a little bit more pushing and understanding what's important for them and how academic researchers can really help. I also had talks with the DFCU Bank. Actually, DFCU Bank has some resources attached to education. They even have a place, they had told me somewhere, either in Namave or Bweyogerere, they have a place where you could meet for free. They give it to people, education related. You could just go there and have workshops there or seminars. And if you are able to actually even have a deeper talk with some of the people within the bank that relate to education and promotion, they sometimes have a few bits of money that you can get from them to do workshops, to have maybe something that relates with the inter-university networking, or something to do a quick survey about banking and customers or something like that. So for the few organizations that I reached out to in 2020 and between 2020 and 2019 and bits of 2021, I found them really receptive, only lacking motivation or reaching out to them to really work with. So that was breaking the ivory tower syndrome. Then we also had individuals sign up for membership. We had only one institutional membership from Ireland, because one of their staff was doing a PhD in Makerere. Actually, his first meet at NEMRA, we were talking about preparing for Viva, and he was almost preparing for his Viva for his PhD, and found it really useful, because at NEMRA we decided to do our workshops in a way that is a little bit different from what universities offer in research methods lectures. And so our workshops and seminars were always unique. So people would say, oh, this is really helpful because this is not something that we get from schools. And so Damo, who was doing his PhD at CEDAT in Makerere, was at an institution in Ireland. And when he returned, he kept his membership, but he also encouraged his university to be NEMRA's institutional member. And so we have just that institution as an institutional member for NEMRA. So there were inter-university writing groups for grants. I wrote very many projects with members from various universities. We didn't get all of them granted, but that's what it is, looking for funding for research. You need to write many until you are able to find one. And some of them were successful, like the one for RIF, and also the one for National Council for Science and Technology. There's a project that was for, like I already mentioned, for research management and administration, and we're able to get money to do the needs analysis. And now the next stage, we need people to NEMRA needs people to move it forward, because the idea was that after the needs analysis, NEMRA and National Council for Science and Technology would write an accredited program for research management and administration, and that needs somebody to take it up, because I think the report on the needs analysis is already finalized. But then someone needs to take it up, who is someone concerned about research management and administration in Uganda, and to engage National Council for Science and Technology and do this accredited program. You can get trainers from South Africa, from the UK, from the US, from Kenya, to train Ugandans on research management and administration, and it's a NEMRA program. It would bring together people from different universities and networks, and just make a mark and make impact the way research is managed and the administration around it. And then we, of course, we had members I'm going to do my proposal defense and I want feedback, and people come and give you friendly feedback, which never used to happen. An inter-university place where you can share your work and get friendly feedback, and it really doesn't cost much. and yet the results, the yield is really great and important. So people form partnerships and relationships. I've made so many relationships across the world because of NEMRA, which are really influential or helpful. And they say your net worth is as equal as your network, really. So you can't go wrong bringing people together. And all this exponential growth happened in 2019 and 2020. And then 2020 to 2023, somehow because the organization was growing, then we needed to really put some governance structures. So we had the first board elections in 2020, yes. And then we had a strategic plan with a proper vision, a mission, and strategy defined. And then the first officially appointed executive was also made in 2020. We had an inaugural executive committee, but it was an ad hoc one where people just put up their hand and voluntary help. And they did a great job because laying the foundation is the most hard and most expensive activity, I think, on putting up anything. If any of you have been building a house, you probably know what that means, and something is as strong as its foundation. So the inaugural executive, we really have respect for them and the things they were doing, and breaking ground is never an easy thing, and so but it was successful for putting up a foundation where others can build from. It was a great job done. And then the board also had special board committees that wrote the operational guidelines in a new NEMRA manual. So there's a document that can be referred to in case of anything to do with governance, the role of the board, the role of the BOT, the role of the executive, the terms of reference for the executive. All these things, they were not easy things to do, but people committed themselves and put these things down. The membership increased, and I think we also got a go-ahead for funding from State House, because we were able to sort of ask for funding based on, look at what we are doing, it's relevant for the government, it's meaningful, could you please support us? Somehow, I truly believe that we were able to secure funding from State House because we were able to show that we were worth it, that NEMRA was worth it from the things that had already been happening. Because this funding, I think, came in 2021. So what has been happening from 2018, there was something to show that we are fundable, we are doing something relevant, we are doing something important. And I'm not sure whether all the funding has been in already, but at least we're able to prove that the government can look and see this is a fundable thing to do. And of course, the monthly seminar tradition quote, it's been maintained and it's going on. And then we've since had a second board elections because they said NEMRA is not very well resourced, so people can at least sacrifice 3 years of their lives to put a block on this network and on this idea, and then we have elections again. And then there were also very various activities from the executive, and I'm sure the previous executive, if they to extend this journey, there's a lot of other information that can be added on from 2020, the year 2023 and last year 2024, the things that happened there, especially in building up on what was already in place. Like I didn't mention that with partnerships and with organizations in Uganda, we also had partnerships abroad as well. Like we had a partnership with the Academic Without Borders from Canada. They are involved into capacity building for research in developing countries, and they were able to do a project with NEMRA. They did the needs analysis for capacity building and found out what were the key issues, developed modules to tackle those issues, and came to Uganda and trained trainers to tackle these issues. And that is still ongoing. The people who have been trained, maybe they can train others to tackle the issues that were raised in the needs analysis. So this has we saw all these issues, started NEMRA and moved, and I haven't said the story for 2023, 2024 because I haven't been on the ground. I know things have been happening, but I haven't been on the ground to sort of say it accurately what has been going on the ground. I believe the previous committee, if they put their report here, Dr. Julie Chai-Simira's executive committee, if they put a block here and put their report, you could see that NEMRA actually is moving. So like a 2023, 2024 kind of block, that would, the story is much further than this. So in all these things, why an alumni group? Because I think most of you have been on the journey that I've just talked about. So you need to come together to reconnect. After graduation, if you haven't been able, you know each other. Some of you don't know each other, but some of you do know each other. You've seen each other. We all know, for example, Dr. Slivia during COVID. If I hadn't known, if there was no NEMRA, I wouldn't have known Slivia, and I wouldn't have found COVID for my brother and his wife. And maybe the story would have been different. So besides developing as our researchers, there's been other benefits. My brother and his wife, they had COVID and it was lockdown, and yet COVIDX was really helping. And we smuggled COVIDX to my brother and his wife through Slivia. And maybe my brother and his wife are leaving because of that. So we need to, I hope we can reconnect, first of all. But also, I know that even after a PhD growth, when you get a PhD, it's like the beginning. You need to continue growing. So we need to look for opportunities for joint growth. So we need grants for our research. We need to develop our skills further. So when you get a PhD, it's like a platform to shine, but it's an opportunity for you to do many things as a doctor, someone who has earned a PhD, but you still have some skills gap we continually learn, and we still need to look out for opportunities together. So let's come together, reconnect, pursue opportunities together for growth, but also equally important, find ways in which we can support others together. Rutash is the one who was telling me everyone who has been a mentee on NEMRA program should hold the hand of a PhD student, and within the next 5 years should have at least mentored 3 others. Support others. If you don't have to you know the little things that your mentors did for you. Maybe at the end of this talk, I will just show you the guidelines of what you can do to mentor somebody. It's not difficult. You could just put your hand there to the research projects and publication coordinator, rather the training and mentorship coordinator, and say, I would like to be a mentor in NEMRA, and these are my research interests. Is there a PhD student doing the same things? And then they connect you up. I think at the end, I'm going to share the guidelines on how you can do that. But it doesn't have to be mentoring. It can be other things. But let's look for ways in which we can support others. And I would like to just encourage you, an oak tree, and I've seen oak trees in the UK now. They are so magnificent. They are tall, and you can't embrace it. It's just too big for you. It's just, and when you stand, it stands so magnificently that you feel it. You feel the strength, you feel the endurance of an oak tree. And they say they have fed, they have housed, they have protected humans for thousands and thousands of years. They provide nutritious food, useful medicine, and beauty. They are extremely beautiful. They are magnificent. But you know, the oak tree started as a seed, a little seed, an oak seed. So your little thing, you can put it in the ground, and you never know when it's going to be a big thing, when it will be medicine, when it will be food, when it will provide beauty for your grandchildren, for whoever when it will change Uganda, when it will change your institution, your university, or even Africa. So all of us, we can unleash the potential in us and grow into a huge tree. So that potential that is in you, you just put it in the ground and die to self. It's about dying to self, because I think one of the things that keeps Africa behind is selfishness, is always thinking about, and in Uganda you have this phrase, mfunela muwa. So we don't die, and because we don't die, then we keep the potential within us, and it will just go in a coffin at some point. So unleash this potential and become and let it become a fig tree. And these are the I want to just quickly talk about the governance at NEMRA, so that you can know, who do I contact if I want this, how do I get involved. So at NEMRA, there's a board of trustees, which is comprised of the founders, and their role is just to sort of ensure that everything that is done, they are to preserve the vision of NEMRA, the NEMRA vision, to ensure that research is demystified and it's contributing to the elevation of Africa. That's a network that demystifies research and also contributes to the elevation of Africa, the transformation of Africa and societies in Africa. That's the vision. Of course, the mission and the strategic direction is done by the board of directors, which is a team that is selected by the members, not selected, elected. So there's always voting for the board of directors. The board of trustees are life members. They are the founders of NEMRA. But the board of directors, they are elected after 3 years by the members of NEMRA, and they are charged with strategic direction of NEMRA. And then there's another arm, which is the technical advisors, and these are appointed by the managing director can decide and float the names to the board of directors. We have only 3 technical advisors: an advisor on research projects and publication, who is Professor Nema, then an advisor on resource mobilization with Professor Bazeo, and an advisor on legal affairs. Masekino Wisho was in that position, but I think it's now vacant because she tendered her resignation. So when the board of directors makes the strategic direction, they then make strategic actions. So what actions do we need to do in this? What's the environment like in the next 5 years? And what strategic actions do we need to do in these next 5 years? And those strategic actions are implemented by the executive. So the executive is the operational arm of NEMRA, while the board of directors is the strategic arm of NEMRA. And the executive is a 5-member team, actually 6 at the moment, and it is headed by the managing director, and then supported by the finance and admin director. But there are 3 core areas of NEMRA, which is research, training, and mentorship, research projects, publications, and then mobilization and advocacy. Those are the key areas, operational areas of NEMRA, and each operational area has a coordinator. So there's a coordinator for research, training, and mentorship, a coordinator for research projects and publications, and then a coordinator for mobilization and advocacy. And of course, the rest of us, the research community and stakeholders, which is the postgraduate research students, academics, practitioners, the government, society, and you, the alumni. We are all here in the management of NEMRA. So I'm going to share with you now the 3 core areas of NEMRA. And then when you're thinking about involvement as an alumni group, you will know where the initiative that you start, which department it falls in. So the first department, which is training and mentorship, has one of the strategic actions that NEMRA wants to do is to offer complementary services to institutions and schools of postgraduate studies in the area of research capacity building, thereby increasing completion rates of postgraduate students, enhance the research culture among academics, and build an intellectual group of scholars on the continent. So like I already mentioned, we are a complementary group that would want to enhance completion rates and train people and mentor people, support postgraduate schools research programs so that we can be able to have better results. And this strategic action from our strategic plan is taken care of by the training and mentorship department. And in this group, the alumni group, anyway, we have one of the members of the executive, and they can direct you to, but at least I know the coordinator for this is Dr. Gadru Zaza. And the possible things that you can do here is mentor someone. You can mobilize mentors if you have people in your network and you think you could talk to them and say, we really need to do something as far as the research landscape in Africa is concerned, and change the narrative. We produce only 1% research output in the world. We could change the narrative, and each one of us can do one or two things. Maybe you could talk to your supervisor or wherever and say, could you just hold one hand of a PhD student? You never know the difference that you would make. It's a multiplicative impact that you would make. Maybe that one student that you make with the one who go and change an entire department in a certain university, you'd have done your part. You could facilitate a seminar if you're good at something, if you're good at data analysis, quantitative data analysis, if you're good at making nice presentations, if you're good at mobilizing in how to talk to government, if you're good at explaining development plans and goals and how they interact, whatever you're good at, you could get to the training and mentorship coordinator and say, can I, in one of the NEMRA seminars, can I do a seminar on this? You could do that only once a year, just once a year, and facilitate a seminar and talk for 1 hour in the entire year. You'd have done your mark and provided some useful information to people. You could highlight capacity needs, research capacity needs. I'm sure the executive now is thinking, what kind of seminars should we do this year? And you could reach out to the training and mentorship group and say, at my university, my students struggle with this and this and that. Maybe this is an issue that we should tackle as an inter-university network. Highlight those research capacity needs. And initiate inter-university periodic seminars. I used to do this at Utamu, and I see people come from UCU, UMI, Makerere, wherever. They just come to Utamu for our monthly seminars. You could initiate this with your department and inform NEMRA training and mentorship department that actually at Makerere, in our faculty or in our college, we are running inter-university seminars. Like at MOOCs, I know there are PhD seminars that are run Sunday mornings, and they are open to everybody. And some people there at MOOCs, they have informed people at NEMRA, and they are going for these. We are not competing with anybody, not competing with any initiatives, but start those initiatives and invite NEMRA, get it out to the training and mentorship department so that they can mobilize other people from other universities and institutions to join in. So that's training and mentorship, and I've not exhausted the possibilities. even as I talk, you probably are thinking, oh, this is what I can do to be able to build capacity, to build research capacity. What can I do to build research capacity for yourself, but also for others as well? And then the research projects and publications. We want to produce high quality academic research outputs, nice papers that can go into high-ranking journals, innovations that society can use to solve problems, and we want to bring groups together, inter-university teams, to be able to get funding to do these projects. So what you could do, you can run a research team, can find an idea. Don't just look only into your university, look around your alumni group and other people from other universities, and just form a team and write proposals together and support each other on how to find grants. We had a workshop, a 5 days workshop, ERIC workshop on research funds and how to get funds. And I think also the Academic Without Borders, a workshop that happened in April, they also covered this area and provided their modules and materials for that. If you, like Apofia, you attended this workshop in April with Academic Without Borders, just pick those materials, find those materials, those modules, ask Norman, ask JB and Juliet, and get these modules. Find a group of 2-3 ladies or gentlemen who might be interested, and get say maybe every 2 months, let's discuss these things and see how we can apply them to get funding. Do something, meet somewhere and discuss these modules together and write funding grants together. Someone just told me that the people who get grants are the people who submit proposals. So come together, look through this, and work together and follow up research products from NEMRA projects. Some of these are published on the NEMRA website. There are reports there. For example, I mentioned the ERIC project that we did. You could download this report and read it. Encourage, I see that there are some projects that NEMRA is doing for RIF, from RIF funding, about a model that bridges academics and industry. Understand what this model is. Request these members of NEMRA to share with you, because with open science, it's beneficial that you share your research, and the research that you're doing, you put it out there to be used by people. So follow up these projects. There's one that is about, it's an academy to coordinate research products and research in Uganda, and building a site for something that relates with something we had, a concept we had done with the National Planning Authority. Find where is this, follow them up and use these products and build on them. Find some questions that they haven't answered and bring up, get teams, research teams, and work on them. So that's research projects and publications. And then the other one is mobilization and advocacy. So this idea of NEMRA, like I told you, Doris would also tell you, people in Europe do a lot of coming together and having they call them something of practice, something that is where you see people that are interested in the same thing and come together to support one another around it. So NEMRA also should be working together to provide this inter-university platform. So publicize NEMRA, host individuals and teams at your department. Some of you are blessed with nice homes. Just get 2 PhD students to come to your house to have a meal and talk with them. Organize other social events, engage institutions, and your social media handles, you can also engage them as well. So these are some of the ideas that you could be involved in. So what do we do now? I think what we do now is maybe listen to me again, listen to Rutash, listen to Norman. Norman said he would be recording some message for you. Listen to what Doris says. Consider what resonates with you as an individual. You don't have to do everything, but there must be something that you can do to work with others to better yourself, but also to support other people. So identify the corresponding NEMRA department and coordinator thereof. If it is something to do with training and mentorship, you know, it's Dr. Gaduluzaza. If it's to do with research projects and publications, Dr. Muhuereza. If it is to do with the mobilization and advocacy, it's Olive. But Apofia is in this club, and she can guide you how to reach out to the appropriate coordinator, but at least offer yourself to do something. You can do something as an individual, but also you can organize yourselves as NEMRA alumni to say this is what we'll be doing. Like some people where we had a NEMRA chapter in Barara, maybe some of you want to revive that and say, okay, every 2 months, Edgar, I'm actually talking to you, Edgar, because you are one of the first people at the NEMRA Barara chapter event. You can say every 2 months there will be a NEMRA seminar in one of the institutions in Barara. And all that you need to do is just come up with a topic, depending on the prevailing needs. Come up with a topic, maybe something to do with how to utilize qualitative data, and find out who can be one of the best facilitators to do that, and just send out a WhatsApp group. Ask somebody at an institution. Institutions are usually happy to host. They can give you a room. Ask members, come with 10,000 shillings to buy you tea and a chapati, and Dr. So-and-so is going to be coming to talk to us about how to utilize qualitative data for 3 hours from 9 in the morning until midday. So come, and maybe you can, some of you can say NEMRA alumni will be collecting 500,000 every year, and then doing 5 workshops in Barara every year, and every time 500,000, and every time someone goes to Barara facilitator, we can give them 100,000 for their airtime and maybe transport if they are coming from Kampala. As an alumni group, you can do something as small as, it's not small, but it's really powerful, 500,000 a year for supporting NEMRA Barara chapter by monthly workshops. And it's 100,000 every 2 months, 100,000 every 2 months for 5 months in a year, and you get out December, for example, and you just do that. We say the NEMRA Barara chapter seminars are run by the NEMRA alumni group, and all that they need is 500,000. If you are 10 people, for example, if you are able to get an NEMRA alumni group of 10 people, each one of you every year you contribute 50,000 every year, and you run a NEMRA alumni group in Barara. You just let Edgar mobilize the room and who will host, and then a facilitator, and all that you need to do is contribute 50,000 a year, and then you have 5 workshops in Barara every year. And these workshops, they don't only give the people skills to analyze data, for example, but they will also make them have fellowships and networks and coming together, and they do much more like a mustard seed, how it becomes really a tree. So this bringing you together, for me on my heart, is to wake the giants in you, because you're really giants, and you really need to wake up. So after you need to discuss ways in which you need each other, how you're going to be supporting one another. You may want to form an alumni committee, like a committee for the alumni, if you want, a NEMRA alumni chairman for NEMRA alumni, whatever positions you want. Then consider a few operational guidelines to start with, but do an initiative, even if it's once or twice a year or something. You can just say, okay, as NEMRA alumni, we are putting up our head there to be the ones that will be organizing NEMRA anniversaries. and we will be the ones collecting information about how NEMRA has performed in the year, how testimonials, stories, we will popularize it. We want to get this burden off the executive and do it as NEMRA alumni. This is our thing. At least just one thing or two things or whatever, something that does not break you and yet has a lot of impact. So yeah, that's my charge for you, and I hope that after this meeting, you'll be able to can go back to this slide, and also maybe you can think about the way you can do it in a different manner. So maybe quickly before I go away from this, I want to have I been sharing the screen? Okay, I want to quickly share with you the mentorship guidelines. Oh, maybe on I'll do this at another occasion. Sorry, I wasn't very prepared for it, so I'll do this at another occasion. I'll share the slides and I'll do the mentorship guidelines at another occasion. So I wish you a good meeting, and I'm looking forward to hearing your reflections. And I will be available to support you in any way, and I'm sure also the other mentors feel the same way. So have a lovely breakfast. Bye.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Thanks for sticking around. Let me put up the communication from Dr. Numan. Then we shall end with communication from partners, and we call it a day. And we have our discussions in probably 2 minutes. We call it a so colleagues, I'm just going to read Dr. Numan's speech, and you can pick out those salient features and that will form a basis for our discussion. So Dr. Numan's speech reads, hello everyone. First of all, congratulations on reaching this significant stage of your life. After years of dedication, hard work, and sacrifice, you have reached the pinnacle of academia. You did it. However, let me share something I was told, but this is not the finish line. just the beginning of an entirely new journey. You have climbed the academic ladder, but now you are about to take on an entirely new career that will still require a little effort, but one that will be just as rewarding, if not more so. This is where the real adventure begins. When Lois asked me to join the executive of this amazing NEMRA PhD alumni club, I wondered, what can I really contribute? But as you might guess, as we get older, we learn to say no more often. And yet, this was one of those opportunities I could not say no to. I want to be part of this NEMRA alumni club to share the future along with you. After giving it a lot of thought, I want to share some reflections with you, not mainly about this, but rather the myths I encountered. These are things I wish I had known or done differently. And I hope that by sharing them, you can avoid some of the same bad ways. This is what I hope the NEMRA Alumni Club group will learn from my missteps, and you use these points to define the values or strategies to ride on. 1. Take time to plan. Your goals might take time to come to fruition, but having a vision will help keep you on track. If there is one piece of advice I want to give you, it is this. Make sure you time to plan. Set clear goals for the next 5 years. You don't need everything in right away, but having a roadmap is important. For the first few years after your PhD, I would suggest you focus on research. Devote about 30 to 50% of your time to it. This is your time to really deepen your expertise and grow as a scholar. And I know it is tempting, but don't rush into leadership roles like heading a department or faculty industry. Instead, focus on your research and personal development. 2, embrace postdoc opportunities. Another thing I highly recommend is considering a postdoctoral position, whether it is in Uganda or abroad. During this time, you will be able to turn your PhD into something interesting, like a book or a set of publishing work. Work on your skills like writing, presenting, and networking. Then build connection with other researchers and form collaborations. Publish in high-ranking journals, which will really strengthen your academic credibility. These years are crucial for laying the foundation of your career, and they will help you stand out in the academic world. 3, publishing. Don't let your dissertation grab a desk for yourself. Instead, use it as a stepping stone to get your research published. Whether you choose to publish articles or a book, ensure that your work reaches the world. You invested significant effort in your research, so make it count. Remember, you don't have to publish alone. If you're part of a group of 6 scholars, you can collectively publish 6 peer-reviewed articles in here. But if you're working solo, expect to publish 1 peer-reviewed article a year. Then defining your career path. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is that a PhD automatically means you have to be a lecturer. That is not true. Take the time to figure out what really excites you. Maybe it's in research, mentorship, industry, or consulting. Whatever it is, make sure your CV reflects the career you want, not the one you feel expected to have. 5, learn from others and keep engaged. Define the activity that will shape your career, attending the conferences that matter, and look for opportunities to sit on boards or academic platforms. But don't rush into every invitation. So it's okay to say no to things that don't align with your goals. As you go forward, don't just focus on your work, learn from others too. Lois and I got involved in a lot of projects during our time at NEMRA. Some of them didn't work out, but others were incredibly successful. For example, we helped launch the Career Researchers Uganda project, which began in June 2022, and we also ran a workshop at University in 2021. We also worked on the inter-university research and innovation community for early career researchers and advisors. Learn from your setback, and yes, Lois and I faced setback. We tried to create an academy for him, but that didn't go as planned. And here's the thing: we left behind variable protection documents and I encourage you to take work, keep moving forward. Don't be afraid to build on what have a mentorship. Find someone who can guide you, a mentor. A good mentor will be there for you when you need that and when you need help making tough decisions. A mentor will be your anchor as you navigate the ups and downs of your career. Afterwards, also reciprocate and mentor others. In conclusion, as you look ahead, know that the road won't always be easy, but it will be incredibly rewarding. Stay focused, keep your goals in sight, and don't be afraid to take risks. The journey won't always be straightforward, but that's what makes it exciting. Once again, congratulations. This is just the beginning of your next venture, and I'm excited to see what or how the club will be in 10 years. Thank you, Norman. Pastor. So that is a communication from Dr. Norman. I don't know, probably he's now a professor, associate, I don't know. Because I've not seen him in a while, but that's his communication. I think let's just dive in to Professor Doris's communication. I don't know how we'll do this, but let me try and see if we can. I'll those ones online. You can hear the message. You just write in the chat. Yes, let me put it on right now. Okay.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because of time differences, but I just wanted to send a voice note to congratulate you for coming this far. The first NEMRA alumni gathering is really a monumental event, and I'm super thrilled to see so many familiar names on the platform. I believe that NEMRA has played a significant role in our academic journeys, either as mentees or mentors, or just as scholars who share a common bond, who share a common dream, who are like-minded, really. And from my perspective, NEMRA has provided us with a supportive community, great mentorship, and valuable resources that really have helped us to navigate the challenges of pursuing graduate studies in Africa specifically. It's not easy to do a PhD in Africa because of all the challenges that you already know. But today I just want to speak to one thing, which is the power of the community, or the power of networking. As you know, PhD students in Africa often find themselves working in isolation, many quit as a result, not just a few, like many. Less than 10% of people who enroll into PhD programs actually graduate, and I should congratulate you for coming this far, for those of you who have already graduated. So by coming together, sharing experiences, supporting one another, NEMRA has really created that power of the community. And if we continue in that line, we can achieve greater success beyond just graduating and adding titles to our names. As a community, we can potentially change our country, we can change our continent, we can change the entire planet if we want, if we work together as a community with shared goals and with shared commitment. So today, as we gather to reconnect and celebrate our achievements, I just would like to challenge us to deliberate on how to harness the power of the community and networking beyond personal growth. I encourage each and every one of us to stay connected, to stay on board with one another. Let us continue to support each other and to share our knowledge, to collaborate on projects, and to think of ways that we can make a meaningful impact. And let us strive to make a difference in our respective fields and to really be a source of inspiration for many who are still working their PhD journeys. So I'm really excited to see what the future holds for our community, for our network. Let us continue to uplift each other and to celebrate our successes and to support each other through the challenges that lie ahead. So I hope that each one of you can think about ways in which they can personally contribute to the successes of others who are still walking this journey. Is there anything you can do? It could be serving the committee, it could be volunteering to facilitate a workshop, it could be mentoring somebody or two. There are so many ways in which we can contribute. Even if you don't want to take on a full mentorship role, you can review somebody's work and give them comments and encourage them in a good way. So that's what I want to bring to you today, like to challenge us to harness the power of the community and let's get connected. We can make this strong for us. Maybe in the next 5 years, this platform would have grown to 1,000 members, and together we can achieve more. Many congratulations on your successes, and I hope you enjoy your breakfast.
Thank you for listening to me. Right now, we can have a discussion what has come out and read our notes of what we are discussing, and I'll share them in the group. Then our advice to have running our committee for now, because interim committee. So we shall select among the steps that be maybe 4 people who can help us organize ourselves and bring on board other people probably would not notice in the group to come and join us. So the floor is open. Edgar. Alex, is there any question? Completion. Let's check with them. Okay. It looks like people are satisfied with what has been said. But I'm going to share the notes, to share the audio on the main group so that we can facilitate, probably the discussion can continue on the main group, and I'll be speaking on discussion. I'll be making summaries and I'll share them the group that we can upgrade on the way forward. So the other issue that it's about to get planning time connectivity. What do you advise online community? So what you can do? Just continue the discussion now. Yeah. So I've been advised we continue that on the platform, which will do the voting on the platform. And otherwise, I wish you a beautiful Friday and a blessed weekend.
Excuse me, Doctor, again. We can't hear you
Yes.
properly. Who is talking? We can't hear properly.
Oh, okay. I was saying, can you hear me now?
Maybe a little better.
Okay. I'm saying, because one of them, I've been advised that we continue the discussion online. I'm going to share the notes in the group by the end of the day. So we continue the discussion online, and I'll pick out those discussions and make a document that I'll share with you. If we agree to it, we shall adopt it. Then secondly, we shall also do the discussion of the interim committee online. Because we need at least probably 4 people, one in Mbarara, then maybe two in Kampala, and maybe one in Busitema. I don't know if we have people from these other places, so that we can have a committee that will help us run our activities for this year. So with those few words, I would like to say thank you so much for sticking around online with all the technical glitches. And I wish you a beautiful Friday and a blessed weekend. Bye for now. Thank you very much.